New questions today about President Obama's message to Air Force Academy graduates at a commencement address yesterday. The president telling the grads that the world has a whole new respect for America because of the changes made on his watch. But was it a message intended to inspire confidence or take a shot at the last president? You listen.
There is a new feeling about America. I see it everywhere I go. From London and Prague to Tokyo and Seoul to Rio and Jakarta. There's a new confidence in our leadership. Today we can say with confidence and pride, the United States is stronger and safer and more respected in the world.
Joining me now to discuss it, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of NDN, which is a center-left. We've been calling it a progressive think tank. Now it's center-left, an advocacy organization. I'll give you the chance to explain that. He's also a former campaign advisor to President Bill Clinton. And Mark Thiessen is a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and a former speechwriter for President George W. Bush. And I've been calling you Mark Thiessen all this time. Now you're Thiessen, and now you're center-left. I can't keep up with you two guys. All right, but let's get to the business at hand. Let's get to the business at hand. Because, Mark, I know you are not happy about these remarks. You say that it shows a lack of dignity and that they were shameful, those comments. Why?
Absolutely. Well, look, I worked on a lot of these military commencements when I worked for President Bush, and I'll tell you, I was just shocked at the lack of dignity he showed in delivering what was essentially a political campaign address at a military academy. It was unseemly for me. Let me read you some of the things he said. When he took office, al-Qaeda was entrenched in their safe havens. Our alliances were strained. Many questioned whether the United States still had the capacity for global leadership. I mean, he used them as a prop to attack the commander-in-chief stood before men and women he was about to send into war, send in to risk their lives, and used them as a prop to attack his predecessor. Now, what are the values we should be instilling in these young people? What is the message that sends? We should be telling them that America backs them no matter what party is in office, that they should be above politics, that we should respect the office of commander-in-chief. And Obama used them as a prop to attack the previous commander-in-chief. And it was really unseemly, and I was embarrassed for him.
You know, Mark, he says specifically, there's a new feeling about America around the world. There's a new confidence in our leadership. Does he run the risk of seeming a little, well, of not having humility?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's never
been
a
No,
problem
I'm sorry. That was for Simon. My apologies. That was for Simon.
Sure.
But Megyn, didn't we cover that last week? But no. So anyway, look, Mark is. I feel bad for Mark because he's shocked every week about something the president's done, and I think on this one,
Right,
come on, Mark. I mean, Mark, come on. I mean, the thing is, clearly what the president was saying was based on fact. Right? I mean, this is not a question of opinion. It's that there has been tremendous progress made under this administration. The world is substantially safer than when he took office. America is better regarded. George Bush was not only the most unpopular president domestically when he was president that we've had in the last 50 years, but he's the most unpopular global president around the world that America's ever had. And the point of feeling towards the United States is material in the way that we can build alliances and get things done in the world. This president, let's go quick, Megyn, right? We see the transitions to democracy in the Middle East. We see Egypt voting yesterday. Al-Qaeda's on the run, right? There has been tremendous progress made in some of the most daunting challenges that we face in the world today. I'm proud of my president. I think it was a very patriotic speech.
You speak to that, Mark, those comments, that around the world, the United States is leading once more, and that there is a new confidence in our leadership.
I think it's absurd to be. I mean, look, the President Obama continued Bush's counterterrorism policies, and that's why we're doing well on Al-Qaeda. All the drone strikes, all the tools that he's using are tools that Bush did.
You got bin Laden.
We led an international coalition in Iraq and Afghanistan. We had more progress with NATO. I mean, NATO. We just had a NATO summit, not one thing on expansion of NATO. So Bush did more to build the alliance. But think about this, Megyn. I mean, imagine if 4 years from now, President Romney gave the same kind of commencement address at the Air Force Academy. I mean, he could do it. He could stand up there and say, when I came into office, I inherited defense cuts that were putting us on the path to no longer being a superpower. In the previous 4 years before I took office, Iran made more progress toward a nuclear weapon than it had in the past 30. We had put our global leadership at risk because the president before me racked up more debt than all of his predecessors from George Washington to George W. Bush combined.
He could
say all that and more, but you know what? He's a classy guy. He wouldn't do it.
What about it, Simon? Simon, should the president keep the remarks, less partisan tone sounding, less self-congratulatory when he's speaking to, cadets, Air Force cadets?
Megyn, I read the speech, and I think this is, look, I really have a lot of respect for Mark, and I think he's a very smart guy. I think this is kind of silly. I mean, if you go and read the speech, and I encourage all your viewers to do it, it's a very patriotic speech that talks a lot about the role of the military in creating liberty and freedom around the world.
That's not the controversial part. That's expected.
No, but I don't think there's anything controversial about the speech, and I don't think there's anything political. The truth is that things happened in the last administration that have had material impact on our standing in the world. The president didn't agree with these strategies, reversed them, and things have gotten better. This is just what presidents do. They explain what they've done in office and what they plan to do next. I mean, it's like, what's he supposed to do? Not talk about what he's done for the last 4 years or the theory behind his initiatives?
Do you feel uncomfortable at all with there is a new confidence in our leadership, says the leader of the free world?
I think that's manifestly true and a fact. And so I'm totally comfortable with it because I think it's true. And just to build on what Mark said, Megyn,
I can't let you build on what Mark said because they're giving me the hard rap. But that was a good debate by both of you guys. Thank you both so much.
Thanks. Thank you.
We'll do it all over again next week with the center-left Simon and the Mark Thiessen, not Thiessen, as I've been saying. My apologies. Well, the man who helped the U.S. bring Osama bin Laden to justice, convicted of high treason in Pakistan. And apparently there's nothing our government can do about it. Just ahead, how did this happen? And what kind of message